Hello and welcome everybody from Leipzig, the biggest city of the German state, Saxony. Today the German national football team will play against Hungary, and this is the reason why I am here. But well, this vlog will not be about this football game, of course. And I will present you the most important sightseeing locations of the city. But before that, let me tell you some interesting details about Leipzig. During the period of the Holy Roman Empire, Leipzig was at the intersection of two important medieval trading routes called Via Imperii and Via Regia, and because of that Leipzig became a very famous medieval trade city. It was a very important European center for culture and learning, literature and music, and also performing a lot of concerts here, so it was a very famous cultural center here in this territory. After the Second World War, Leipzig was part of East Germany, and unfortunately during the communist regime the cultural life declined a lot. They were focusing on the heavy industry, which wasn't protecting the environment, of course. After reunification of Germany, when West Germany and East Germany were reunificated again, the West Germans were thinking that these factories should be closed because first, they don't protect the environment, and second, they also very outdated, and this was a very big issue then in Leipzig. They were actually not really happy about the reunification from this point of view, because people who were working in the heavy industry became suddenly unemployed. You can imagine 90% of these people lost their jobs because of closing these factories, and 100,000 people left Leipzig. It was a big problem because they also left their houses, and these houses were like ghost houses, abandoned ones. And the German government solved this situation only later, 10 years later, after the reunification, beginning in 2000, when they could manage to put some more modern industrial establishments here, and also to modernize the public transportation, and on the other hand they also demolished these abandoned houses. In this time they also renovated very old medieval buildings, so that will be a very big advantage for us, because we can enjoy these very old structures from the medieval ages. The name Leipzig comes from a Slavic word, Lipsk, which means the settlement where the linden trees stand. Since 1989 Leipzig is also called Heldenstadt, Hero City, because the Monday demonstrations held here also held to the fall of the East German communist regime. The first written mention of Leipzig is from 1015, when Bishop Dietmar of Merseburg calls it Urbs Lipzi. Leipzig has the oldest surviving trade fair in the world, because already dating back in 1165 it was a very big trade fair here in Leipzig. This was the year when Otto the Rich gave city and market privileges to this place, to this establishment. This is actually when Leipzig became a city. The University of Leipzig is one of the oldest universities in Europe, because it was established in 1409, and it became an important center of German law and publishing industry in Germany. In 1813 it was a large battle here in Leipzig. The Napoleonic France was fighting against the Allied coalition of Prussia, Russia, Austria and Sweden, and actually ended Napoleon's presence here in the German territories, because the Allies won. But it was such a big fight, which was never so in Europe until the First World War. Actually, this defeat also led to the exile of Napoleon to the island of Elba. During the Second World War Leipzig was bombed very often, and the biggest air raid was on the 4th December of 1943, when the Royal Air Force of UK came here with 442 bomber airplanes, and they loaded 1,300 tons of explosive on the city, destroying almost completely the city center. Leipzig is Germany's 8th biggest city. 605,000 people are living here. Nowadays Leipzig is a very important economic center of Germany, and it has a very high quality of living. and also nicknamed sometimes as a New Berlin. This is the old city hall of Leipzig, Altes Rathaus. It was constructed in 1556 in Renaissance style. Currently it houses the city's history museum. Of course, during the Second World War it was almost completely destroyed. The roof burned off completely. But as you can see, the renovations took place and it's an absolutely splendid building representing the medieval ages, completely authentic. Now it's very crowded in this square because there's like a mini Oktoberfest. Not so big event like in Munich. You cannot compare it with that, but the square is full with people, and you can buy beer and Wurst, usual German way to celebrate October, actually autumn in September. Typical German dishes, and also a lot of sweets. Here you can also buy some books. It's a nice city. You can find a lot of old buildings, which are of course reconstructed, or, well, probably we cannot speak about renovations, because renovation is like to repair something, but here was almost everything completely destroyed. This clock tower is also absolutely amazing. And in front of the old city hall you can find the market square. This is where this little Oktoberfest takes place, and there is also a stage. They are singing usually. Now it's like a little break, but it's a good atmosphere here. Not as big as the Munich Oktoberfest, as I said, but you can see that it's very crowded, and you can find here every kind of German beer which you like, and, well, moreover local beer from Leipzig, but I also saw Bavarian beer, which is also very tasty.
Anstatt das Ding selber zu nehmen. Mama?
Machen wir später dran. Das war ein Blumentopf, das ist, wie man es benutzt.
Nicht wirklich. Aber bei 3 Plänen hast du
Old St. Peter's Church is a Lutheran parish and church in the old town of Leipzig. The present church building in a Gothic revival style was erected from 1882 onwards at the Marktplatz and also serves as a concert venue. It replaced the former building at a different location, which was built in 1507. It was demolished in 1886. This is the tallest church in Leipzig. It has a tower of 87 meters. Absolutely splendid. This is the Mädler passage. Adolf Mädler was a leather and suitcase manufacturer in Leipzig. He constructed this arcade shopping mall in 1911 in a classicist style. Absolutely beautiful building. He had so much money that he could afford to demolish all the houses in this part in order to make more place for constructions. And it's worth to visit not only for shopping lovers but also to admire the architecture with the glass roofs of these arcades. This is Auerbachskeller, one of the oldest restaurants and pubs of Leipzig, and Johann Wolfgang Goethe studied at the University of Leipzig between 1765 and 68, and he was a guest of this establishment many times. He saw on the wall two paintings. One was a magician called Faust drinking with his students, and on the other one he was riding a wine barrel and leaving the place like this, and he could manage to do it only if he was under the control of the devil. So these two paintings inspired Goethe to write Faust, and actually this is statue. What we can see here, two scenes from the Faust of Goethe, when Mephisto makes the magic on the students. This is Mephisto, and here we can see the students. Szene in Auerbachs Keller aus Goethes Faust, die Studenten von Mephisto verzaubert. So that's the story of this very old pub. This is the reason why a lot of people come here. And this place can be found in this passage, Mädler passage, among the other shops. This is the University of Leipzig. I didn't expect such a modern building. As I mentioned before, Leipzig was suffering from the Second World War. It was bombed by the Allied forces, but this was an opportunity for Leipzig to rebuild all the buildings in a very beautiful way. So yes, even a university which was established in 1409 can look like this. Absolutely amazing, very modern. This is the largest square of Leipzig, as one of the largest squares of Europe. But that wasn't so all the time. Before the Second World War you could find here much more houses, buildings, but these were destroyed during the bombings, and they were not reconstructed after. It's also a main hub for the tram traffic, and you can find here the main entrance of the University of Leipzig. And next to us is the Mendebrunnen, a very famous and very old fountain. You can also find the market here, as you can see. It's selling the typical German Wurst. It's very typical. And also some fresh vegetables, cheese and many other things, so that's also a reason why to come here. So this is the Mendebrunnen fountain. It has an interesting story. It was built between 1883 and 86. A merchant's widow called Pauline Mende gave in her final testament all her money to the city of Leipzig in order to construct a fountain, and in her honor the city named the fountain after her. So that's why it's called Mende Brunnen. Brunnen means fountain in German language. I really love these statues. Absolutely amazing piece of art. This is the University Church, St. Pauli, Universitätskirche St. Pauli. It survived the war undamaged, but it was destroyed later by dynamite in 1968 under the Soviet occupation. The Paulinenkirche was built in 1231 for the Dominican monastery and inaugurated by Martin Luther in 1545 after the Protestant Reformation. In 2007 constructions began for this Paulinum in the exact location of the former church and reflecting its Gothic architecture. This is the Opera House of Leipzig. As I already mentioned, in 1943 Leipzig was bombed by the Allied forces. 1,400 tons of bombs were deployed here, and as a result this Opera House was completely destroyed, and also all theaters of this beautiful city. And what we can see now was constructed between 1956 and 1960. The inauguration of the theater was with a performance of Wagner's Die Meistersinger von Nürnberg. On the Augustusplatz you can also find the concert hall of Leipzig called Gewandhaus. It is home of the Leipzig Gewandhaus Orchestra. The first building was constructed in 1781 and the second one in 1884. Both of them were completely destroyed during the Second World War when the Allies bombed the city. So what you can see now, it was constructed on the 200 years centenary of the first building in 1981. This 36-story skyscraper is the tallest building in Leipzig. It is 132 meters tall. It was designed in a shape of an open book by the architect Henrik Henselmann between 1968 and 1962. And originally it was part of the campus of the University of Leipzig, but later it was sold by the government of Saxony to a US investment group called Merrill Lynch, and they are renting the offices to private tenants, to some companies. There is also a viewing platform upstairs, and we'll go there to enjoy an amazing view of the city. So the viewing platform is on the 29th floor. There's also a restaurant here and you can have some champagne or some drinks if you want. It was very interesting that the entrance fee was to be paid at a ticket machine, and only coins were accepted, and next to it was also another machine where you can change the money, so you can insert the banknote and you get the coins. I never saw such a thing. So let's admire the view. There is the Red Bull Arena, the stadium of the Red Bull Leipzig German football team. In front of us we can see the main station of Leipzig, Leipzig Hauptbahnhof. In 1839 Leipzig became a hub of Central European railway traffic, with Leipzig Hauptbahnhof the largest terminal station by area in Europe. The railway station has two grand entrance halls, the eastern one for the Royal Saxon State Railways and the western one for the Prussian State Railways. Well, it is still Europe's largest railway station. I was really surprised about it when I prepared the vlog for this city, and it's measured by floor area 83,460 square meters. So yeah, it's absolutely incredible, absolutely huge.
Anfang April oder überhaupt. Also es war noch heiß und es schien die Sonne und ich hatte tatsächlich Sonnenbrand im Gesicht. Meine Lippen waren wirklich trocken durch den Wasser.
This is the Bayerischer Bahnhof, which means Bavarian railway station. This is the oldest preserved railway station of Germany. It was inaugurated in 1842 by the Saxon Bavarian Railway Company, and it served for the Leipzig Hof Railway. This is the Rosenthal Park. I really appreciate that almost each German city has a lot of greenery, a lot of parks, so the locals can go outside and picnic or chill or play or just walk with the dog. It's absolutely nice to have such a thing. Cannot say about my city the same because it's more like full of communist blocks. We have only like one bigger park and nothing beside. It's a very huge green field here. This is the Leipzig Zoo. You can take a sneak peek from outside from the park. Well, it was not on my plan to come here because I'm here only 2 days in Leipzig, so I didn't have many time. This is the Goethe Schlösschen, a very beautiful castle built in Rococo style, a representative bourgeois country house. It was constructed between 1755 and 56 in order of the councilman and council builder Johann Caspar Richter. Back that time Gohlis was just a village, but now it's a quartier of Leipzig. Well, I read on TripAdvisor that it's not really beautiful inside, it's not worth to go and visit, but if it's open I will do it. Unfortunately it's not open, so you can just admire the backyard of the little castle. This is the St. Nicholas Church, in German Nicolaikirche. It was first constructed in Romanesque style in 1165, but then rebuilt in the 16th century in a Gothic style. It gained international fame when Johann Sebastian Bach performed his work for the first time here, and also in 1989. This was the church where the demonstrations began. This house was built for the company Ricket & Co. in 1908, and that time it was one of the most extravagant building of the city, a shopping place. Also now we can find a cafe on the ground floor. The St. Thomas Church is a Lutheran church in Leipzig. It is associated with several well-known composers such as Richard Wagner and Felix Mendelssohn Bartholdy, and especially Johann Sebastian Bach, who worked here as a Kapellmeister. This means music director, from 1723 until his death in 1750. There has been a church at the current site of the Thomaskirche at least since the 12th century. Foundation of a Romanesque building have been discovered. But this current building was built between 1482 and 96 in a late Gothic style. Even though it was rebuilt over the centuries and damaged by Allied incendiary bombs in 1943, the church today mainly retains the character of a late Gothic hall church. This is the new city hall of Leipzig, Neues Rathaus. It was constructed in 1905. It hosts the city's administration, and the very interesting fact is that the tower is 114.8 meters tall, and that means that it's the tallest town hall tower of Germany. This is the building of the Bundesverwaltungsgericht, which means the Federal Administrative Court. It's one of the 5 federal supreme courts of Germany. It is the court of the last resort for generally all cases of administrative law, mainly disputes between citizens and the state. This absolutely beautiful building was constructed in 1895.
Länderspiele hat Julius Jeder für Deutschland absolviert. 43 Tore sind ihm gelungen. 4-mal nahm er an Fußball-Weltmeisterschaften teil. Bei der WM 1966 und der WM 1970 führte er die Nationalmannschaft als Kapitän.
So this was the travel film about Leipzig. In order of completeness, I want to tell you which sightseeing locations were missing from this vlog. Actually, there is a very beautiful zoo, one of the most modern zoos in Europe. 850 species can be found here, and also the botanical garden of Leipzig is worth to visit because it's one of the oldest botanical gardens of the world, established in the 16th century, and is the oldest botanical garden of Germany. Well, I had no time for that, and I also visited these kind of places already, so probably I wouldn't enjoy it so much, but I hope that you enjoyed this vlog anyway, and if that's so, please subscribe to my channel if you didn't do it yet. It's very important to push on the bell icon because this is how you get notified about the new contents. Have a nice day and goodbye.